Hello everyone and welcome to a new session for Computer Science 1. This session is a review for Test 1. For Test 1. So this test is going to be an online test. It is going to be the week of January 30. It is going to be due Friday. So Friday would be Friday, February 3rd. And what you need to know is it is covering chapters 1 to 5. Chapter 1 is Intro to Computer and Programming. You need to go over all the topics for chapter 1. It's Intro to Computers and Programming. Chapter 2 is whatever we went over for Intro to C++. Chapter 3 was expressions and interactivity. Chapter 4 was making decisions. And finally, chapter 5 was loops and files. So these are the chapters for this test. You need to know that the test is going to be 120 minutes. So you have Monday through Friday to start the test. Once you start the test, you have 120 minutes to submit. You are not allowed for multiple attempts. So no multiple attempts. What else? Let me see what else you need to know about the quiz or this test. It's going to be eventually based on the syllabus. It's over 10 points. So as mentioned, no multiple attempts. It's going to be one question at a time, one Q at a time. So you're gonna have like next button instead of having all the questions listed. You are going to see one question at a time, and then you click next to go to the next question. What else? So as mentioned, it's due February 3. And I provided you practice questions. So let me show you. So if you go to quizzes section, you are going to see that test 1 is ready. It's going to be available Monday early morning, which is like Sunday midnight, all the way to February 3rd. And then you have a practice quizzes. So these practice quizzes are the true, false, and the multiple choice questions. Chapter 1, I have 47 questions. Chapter 2, 62. Chapter 3, 45. Chapter 4, 52. Chapter 5, 60. Out of all these questions, I picked the 20 that will go in test 1. So test one total is 25 questions. Those 25 questions are, you are going to have 20 true, false, and multiple choice. Then you are going to have 4 knowledge questions, some definitions. What is X? What is Y? Knowledge, and then you're gonna have 1 programming question. Programming question. So this programming question, you are allowed to use Visual Studio. So allowed to use Visual Studio. What's going to happen is you are basically going to read the question, and then you're gonna open Visual Studio and then start coding. Start coding, debug, start your program, debug it, and go over each statement with the F10. Once you make sure that the program works, then you copy the code and come to Canvas and paste the code into the question. That's basically it. So you are allowed to use Visual Studio. You are not allowed to use Visual Studio for the true, false, and multiple choice and for knowledge. Keep in mind that Canvas tells the professor what the student did, and if the student minimized the screen, if the student switched to a different software, etc. So you are not allowed to switch the screen on these questions. You are not allowed to switch the screen on these questions. For the programming questions, you are allowed to use only Visual Studio. You're not allowed to Google stuff eventually. And for the review, as I mentioned, these 20 questions, you can practice them in the practice questions. So practice quizzes. You can find chapters 1 to 5. You can go ahead and practice, and out of those questions, 20 will come into the test. Now, for the knowledge, you basically need to reread chapters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and make sure you understand all the topics in order to review and to prepare for these questions, similar to the programming. Now, for the programming, I can help you by telling you what to focus on. Let's see. Let me see. So CS1 test 1. You need to practice if you want to prepare. You need to practice, of course, C in and C out. You need to practice loops. You need to practice random number generator. You need to practice arithmetics, operators. You need to practice logical operators. You need to practice reading and writing from files. You need to practice yeah, this is basically it. So I'm gonna ask you to write a program that does this and does that and then displays X or Y. So if you the program I'm going to request revolve around these topics. It involves the in and C out, involves loops, random number generator, it involves arithmetics, logical operators, of course, if statements. So if statements are statements very important. So revolves around operators reading and writing from file and eventually if statements. So this is it for the review. Again, you have until Friday to submit the quiz. We're gonna have another session this week, which is chapter 6 functions, but chapter 6 is not part of the test. So what you are going to do is you need to prepare and practice Monday, Tuesday, maybe maximum Wednesday, and then I would submit the test, and then Thursday, Friday, you can watch chapter 6. This way we cover this week. So let me know if you have any questions, and good luck in the test.